Hi, and welcome to the fourth video in this, which is the introduction to yoga or yoga for complete beginners. If you've got this far, well done. This is genuinely amazing. We're covering alterations and adjustments today. And if you haven't got this far and you've just found this video, then go over to the channel, check the playlist, go right back to the first video. It's only 16 minutes long, or just do this one. No one cares and no one's judging you, so you do you. You do you. This video is about alterations and adjustments. So far, you've learned all about what it is to go to a yoga class, what it is to be seen at a yoga class, and what you should wear or do, what music's going to be on. And we've covered over and over again while we went through the 2 flows that you've now done. Well done again. Alterations, so like when I talked about touching your toes and how deep you go and how deep you take it is up to your body. But this video is about props, things that we can use to make our lives easier, why you should use them, and how literally nobody in the classroom is judging you, because I did this metaphor before about the gym, but being at yoga is like the gym. You know, there's people pumping tiny amounts of weight. You know, there's somebody who's got a shoulder problem lifting a 2.5 kilo dumbbell behind their head. Nobody goes in the gym and thinks, oh, that's a little weight. I mean, I guess people worry about people thinking that all the time, but I don't think it's commonplace. Same in yoga. If I see someone doing a forward fold and they grab themselves one of these, which is a block, and they forward fold onto that block like this, and they put some weight on that block, and this allows them to take their yoga that little bit further than they would if they didn't have this, then this is a blessing. So the first point that I'm going to make is that using these blocks, using these straps, these isn't something that's ever going to make someone look at you and say they shouldn't be using that. And if they are thinking that, they're not someone you ever want to talk to or associate with. So what have you lost? I'm not going to do straps today because we haven't done any asana that I think lend themselves well to this, maybe seated forward folds, but we're going to ignore this for now. Don't let the straps intimidate you. This ain't 50 Shades of Grey. This is just going to help you bend a little better. All right? As for the blocks, now we use these all the time. All the time. And if you go to a class and nobody's using blocks, I like to think they just really haven't been told they're allowed to use blocks. But most classes that I go to or run, someone's got a block somewhere. And it's the way it should be. Because not only can blocks help you make things easier, but they can also make things a little harder. I've seen that a bunch of times, and all I'm saying is these are not the enemy. They're not the devil. You don't have to look at them and be like, oh, I don't want the blocks that people use if they're not good enough. That's not what these are. These are the accessories of yoga, and it's our job to use them to make our yoga better, our practice more fun, and to damage ourselves less. So that's what this is about. This is about using the equipment that you'll find in a studio and what it's for. This is a bolster. It's full of really heavy, I think it's full of like empty coffee bean shells or something. I know coffee beans don't have shells, but I think it's some sort of waste product of the food industry that doesn't degrade, and that's what that's full of. And these are beautiful. If you're putting yourself down into a really nice restorative position, having one of these under the knees is phenomenal. All right, not putting this here and having to straighten the legs out. Some people really struggle with this, and it's genuinely not as comfortable as this. So if you're in a yoga studio that has bolsters, use them because they're brilliant. We use these in restorative classes. We use these in some poses. But the bolster, see, look, I'm really drilling these names home, is commonplace in a yoga studio. If you don't have a bolster, roll up 2 towels. This isn't about money. I can't say that enough. These videos are free. Your floor at home is free. Rolling out a towel instead of a mat is free. Rolling up towels instead of having a bolster is free. These blocks, they cost about 11 quid. But if you go in any charity shop in the world, you're gonna see these sat underneath a bookshelf with a quid written on them. Buy some second-hand ones and give them a wash, all right? Money is not a barrier to doing yoga. Money is a barrier to doing yoga classes, yes, but even the props you can find exceptionally cheap, or I don't know, do you have a piece of Tupperware at home that isn't gonna break if you use it that's this shape? I'm not advocating for using all of the cookware or getting in trouble with whoever cooks most for using it, but what I'm saying is that this is a hard piece of foam, okay? So, the use of these to make things harder. For instance, if I'm sat in wide leg seated position, I could put these under my heels, which it's gonna really hurt, all right? I'm doing this for you, people. So if I can't even do it. Yeah, so if I put my feet onto these blocks and I maintain my posture and my breath, this is a way of using the blocks to make a position harder. And I only show you this not because you should be making your positions harder, but to emphasize the point that these do not imply that you don't know what you're doing. Not that that should bother you, but I know it does. Okay, so not the enemy, actually very good friend. So we're gonna go over a couple of the poses that we've done earlier in this video sequence and how to adapt them. First of all, starting with child's pose. So if you remember, I'm gonna move this bolster. I look like I'm sat in a mess. I'm creating a mess, people. Allow me to tidy up. You go there. You can stay here. You're allowed. Don't fall over. Good. So if you remember, child's pose, it is putting the knees to the side of the mat, touching the toes together, and sitting back, and then stretching out. And this is child's pose. Some people, if they've got a really, really stiff hips or really non-existent outside glute muscles, which is what I used to have, really struggle with this pose. So, take the block, widen the feet a little, and sit on it. You can sit on this block. Now this looks really uncomfortable. So, sit on another. Okay? This is something that I think most people can do who don't have dramatic knee injuries. Building these blocks up, we could put another, or another, and another, and just go to where the body's comfortable. And then from here, we can pivot forwards, keep our legs out, and we can move into position easier by having the blocks in place. Staff position, which we haven't covered yet, which is sitting staff or thunderbolt. Oh my gosh, I've forgotten my positions. Thunderbolt, I believe. I think staff is with the legs out in front of you. So thunderbolt position, which is like this, okay, is made immediately easier by having the blocks. This is now achievable for some people who it wasn't achievable for before. Now, another thing we can do, because there's two blocks under here, I can remove one. That's measurable progress, okay? So now my feet are down, my butt's on the lower block, and at some point in the last month, I've lost this block. This is progress. When you are doing yoga, you don't have to immediately get into the full position. It's your job to use the tools around you to make this accessible and then slowly move them so you can get into the full position. My bum's not even touching the floor right now. I'm levitating. So at some point I'll be able to get all the way down, but not now, not on a Sunday morning. So this being here makes this accessible for me, allows me to maintain the breath. See? So even people who've been doing yoga a long while, because I've been doing yoga for 8 years now, although I've only been teaching for 1, maybe, not long. But to be able to do this makes it accessible. Okay? Second one. I told you it's Sunday morning, all right? Leave me alone. So forward fold. Blocks. Now, either you can hold them in your hands, which I don't really suggest, or put them there, ready for yourself. All right? Big mountain pose, feet down, tense through the legs, push the glutes through, square the shoulders, put the arms down, put the hands forward. Brilliant mountain pose. Look, and your blocks are right there waiting for you for when we go down into a forward fold. And rather than rounding the back, we can take the blocks and we can put some weight onto there. And yes, I am rounding my back a little bit. This is normal. To get down into full forward fold, you know, the back rounds and we come all the way down. But here, this allows me to stay in a really folded position for a long period of time. Breathing into it. Make sure the knees aren't locked out. But once you get here, these blocks, this adaptation is allowing you to do this move a little bit deeper for a little bit longer, which aids progression. And then, because, sorry, I was just about to quote my wife, but she says that these have got 3 height settings, right? Which always makes me laugh. 3 height settings. They have tall, yeah, medium tall, and flat. I don't know why she calls them settings, because they are just, in fact, a brick, but it makes me laugh. So they have 3 height settings. So that means that when you're in your forward fold, perfect, you can then adjust it. And you can use these to get lower and lower until finally them hands come to the floor. And that's a process. That's a long process. That isn't something you do in a yoga class, going from the highest setting to the medium setting to the lowest setting to the floor. That's something you do in months. Because yoga is something that's supposed to take you through life, keeping your flexibility, keeping your happiness, keeping you centered in life, keeping you embodied in your own movements, allowing you to jump up and down that curb on the street, or, you know, have a couple too many drinks and vault over one of those big cast iron posts in the middle of Skipton and narrowly avoid a very serious injury. But this is what it's about. It's about staying young. It's about staying mobile. It's about staying happy. You don't do that in one class. Yoga is meant to be done over a prolonged period of time. You're either someone who does yoga or you're someone who dips into yoga. And someone who does yoga is always going to be happier and healthier. And that's why I really struggle to find any bad things to say about it. And because we teach the modifications, the adaptations, right, you're not in a position where you're going to hurt yourself. So this isn't where I say, well, do yoga, but don't overdo it. We're telling you not to overdo it. And with these modifications, you will get better. Let's do one more. So we've done the thing that makes it harder with the feet. That's horrible. Give it a try at home. You'll go, oh, like I did. All right, we've got thunderbolt position or child's pose, which these are really good under the butt. We've got forward fold, where you can use these as arm extenders, essentially, on the highest setting. And then what else have we done? We've got tabletop. I tell you what, let's do some non-block adjustments. Oh, we already covered this, so I'm not going to touch on it for long, but knee pads. These are an adjustment. If, like me, you spent 10 years being a plumber and your knees are fucked, right? You're going to need something to aid you in weight bearing on the knees. I spent years kneeling under stinks, ratcheting stuff, all right? Or kneeling on the ground, sorting out people's pipes. These allow me to get into this position without the soft tissue around my knees going, stop, We've gone too far. So this is an adjustment. Coming down into this position, I mentioned yesterday, the wrists. Yesterday for me, last video for you. The wrists. People having their wrists at a right angle or beyond can be really painful. I also used to rollerblade. I broke this wrist twice. So being on this wrist took me a lot of time to get used to. Being on this wrist is fine. This one can go all the way back. It can turn round. This one's fine. This one, it takes a lot of doing. But what I'm saying is if you're struggling with this, maybe your tabletop can look more like this. The hands should be under the shoulders, yes, but if you can't right angle the hand to the arm, then you're going to have to just push them out a little bit. And if your yoga teacher comes over and says, put your hands underneath your shoulders or try and bring those hands back a little bit, don't be afraid to say, I've got really sore wrists, so I actually can't do this. Or alternatively, we could get a small rolled up blanket. There's a big box of blankets over here, which there is going to be in most good yoga studios. Or there is some small like bean bags here. And this can be something that you can put your hands on. And that's going to give you, it's not going to feel quite the same, but that's going to give you that edge. You can see here, the angle is bigger. I'm allowing myself to do the move properly. The hands are underneath the shoulders, but the angles aren't just a straight right angle. They're giving me a little bit more movement in the hands. And that is adjustments in yoga. These are knee pads. These are bricks. These are blocks. That's a bolster. These are bean bags. That's a blanket, but I don't need to show you that, right? These are all just different brands of block. And these are straps, but these are going to get their own video much later on because we use these predominantly for, I'll give you one, all right? That's it, we're doing all of the stuff here. You can put your foot into here, and whereas without this, you might really struggle to get that foot up in front of you, these allow you to pull the foot up, allowing you to take it further, much further, take it out to the side. These straps allow us to do moves that we wouldn't be able to do with just our leg because it adds such a level of stability and pull. And again, the purpose isn't to pull past your range of movement. My range of movement's much bigger than this, but my muscles are allowing me to push my foot up this far and come out that wide. If I use the strap and just step my way in there, this will allow me to come all the way up to a right angle, okay? And then bring it all the way out to the side. Whoa, wobbling's normal, people. Let's normalize the wobble. Out to the side. Again, these are used for modifications and adaptations. You'll see people in yoga classes using these where they need. A good yoga teacher is going to say, if you need a strap, grab one. And they know which moves to do that in. They know which asana that's for. So, that is modifications and adaptations. This is an introduction to the accessories in a yoga studio. So you're not walking in and thinking, what on earth's going on over here? What are these for? Right? None of that. Those questions have been answered. And if you've been following along or trying to do any of these stretches, or if you've just been sat there having a little shop looking around or posting on a Facebook free to a good home site saying anyone got any yoga blocks or messaging your family, people buy this stuff from the Centre Aisle in Aldi all the time. I guarantee you someone you know has these sat in their cupboard and they're thinking, why have I bought yoga blocks? That's the person you want to ask. Thank you for joining me today. Next time we post a video is going to be the 5th video, and that's going to be a full flow with adaptations. Is it? And a Shavasana, and it's going to be a full 30-minute flow. Your first fully fledged, full-sized yoga class. And I think that you're going to be surprised about how much you know when you get there already. Well done on today. Get yourself some accessories if you can. Don't if you can. Like I said, rolled towels is enough. And I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me. If you've really enjoyed yourself, please do subscribe or follow along. It helps me make more content. And thanks again. See you next time.